Welcome everybody to Funeral Nation episode 188. I'm Ryan Thogmartin. That's Jeff the Funeral Commander Harbison. And this is episode, I don't know, of the quarantine show.
Oh, the quarantine.
The
Yeah,
quarantine.
it feels like episode 200 of the
Oh
quarantine.
man, it's been a minute. It's
It's been interesting. What I find fascinating is the change of operations or change of what to do on a really fluid basis.
Yeah.
My wife is at the hospital, and the same thing. It could almost be hourly what they do differently, and I'm certain that funeral homes are having to make adjustments as well. So, you and I started this broadcast of talking about pushing change.
Yeah.
Well, COVID came in and said, "Okay, you're changing, whether you
right.
like it or not."
Ramping it up. But there's some good things happening in the profession because of it. Last week we had Funeral Service Foundation on and the fund that they've put together, which has been awesome. And then yesterday, Funeral One announced that they are making thousands of reusable face shields. So they put up some stuff on their website and they're looking for partners and rolling that out. So there's some good things happening, but this show is one of those good things, but it wouldn't happen without C&J Financial.
C&J Financial. I'm so blessed to be a part of that team. We're not surviving, we're thriving. We're actually doing just fantastic because what's happened with the COVID-19 is, guess what? It changed some cash flow for funeral homes. And so if you don't have 60 to 90 days cash in the bank, which you need to have either as a family as well as your business, then that puts a crunch on the cash flow. There's, in some cases, we have two type of firms, if you will, that I've talked with this week. It's a firm who are stagnant or doing less calls, or it's a firm that's doing more calls but less revenue. So either way, it's a cash flow issue. Yeah. And fortunately, we're in position to help firms because it's now more important than ever to use life insurance because, the families, we've got, 10 million folks out of work right now?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ohio's like 200,000 a week going on unemployment.
Yeah. And when you think about it, with our cash advance, where if a beneficiary needs additional money on top of it, we can do that. So anyway, if I can help you at the funeral home C&J, we're standing here. We'll help you with your cash flow issues. If nothing else, we can just talk about it and get some ideas of what's going on out here.
Well, Ryan, you guys are, hold on, I want to mention real quick, you guys are doing a really cool social media campaign, Feed a Funeral Director. So you gave away $1,500 in gift certificates to funeral homes, and now you're kind of just randomly dropping in on a Friday and delivering food to funeral homes across the country.
That's it. It's Feed a Funeral Professional. In fact, we've got Chuck going out on the first one. I'll send that out to you on social media. But the bottom line is we're just not in the business to help funeral directors. We're standing alongside and behind you.
Yeah.
So, we're picking out some firms. We're sending either food over or a $500 gift certificate. But we want it to be from a local provider of restaurants, right? So that we're helping the whole community. And that's going really well.
It's good stuff.
So reach out to me if you're interested in that program.
All right. Well, what do we got in the news?
Well, COVID-19 is getting worse.
Still.
I've read some, and that's what's going on today that I find really fascinating is you see all sorts of different stories. And at this point, I'm not sure who to believe.
That's right.
But I've heard that, the curve in some places flattening some.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? Is that working? Then I heard that they're not actually counting the folks who die at home and testing them for COVID. Did they die of COVID or did they die from the regular flu? So I don't know what's going on. Bottom line is I believe this social distancing is going to be with us for longer than we want to.
Yeah.
And from funeral professionals, I've seen the most creative stuff that they're doing. Kudos to the firms out here that are really stepping up your game. I saw in the Midwest somewhere that a farmer had passed and they had John Deere tractors lining the highway. through a funeral procession. We've seen drive-through funerals. We've seen, you talked a few weeks ago about having like a drive-in funeral, if you will, where they're in the parking lot using speakerphones.
Yeah,
So if y'all are doing something interesting and different, like for us to share with it for your fellow professionals, let us know. Drop us an email in, and we'd love to profile you.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of good happening. We want to amplify that as much as we can.
Right. One of the difficult things I saw, and in fact, I sent you a copy today. It was in
Yeah,
the New York News, where they're using paupers burials in New York, and literally just excavating great big holes
yeah,
and putting caskets inside of there, stacked bodies on top of each other for unclaimed people.
yeah. I think they said they're
That's a
waiting
bad
like
side in our
it is.
society.
It is bad. It's bad. It's all the way around. There's no way good to spin it. I mean, I think I read that they're waiting 14 days, and then if no one claims the body, it's going into a mass grave dug by some contract workers and prisoners. So, it's sad to see. It really is, but the death toll in New York is just insane. So, you can't hold unclaimed bodies forever. So,
Yeah, I haven't been able to get the recent CDC numbers out, but in the United States, about this time of year, we lose between 54 and 56,000 people per day. And so it'll be interesting to see. Was that right? Per day or per month? Per week.
per week,
Excuse me.
per week, it's
Per
weekly.
week. Excuse me. But bottom line is it will be interesting to see if this lower death rate, although we see so much more with coronavirus, if the lower death rate from staying home, not
Yeah,
driving, not catching the flu or something else, getting, killed on the accident side of a job, is that actually have an effect on the death rate? That goes
yeah,
back to the firms I'm speaking with that have flat or lower compared to the others.
that's right. That's right. It's interesting. This is a great big wheel, and when you disrupt that wheel in any way, the domino effect is pretty dramatic, across the board. And there's things that we don't even factor in when we're thinking about, just little decisions. Like, I mean, it's not a little decision, but the decision to not travel as much, just in the ecosystem of things, how that affects different scenarios. So,
I agree
it's
with you.
it is you said it at the beginning of the show, it's a fluid situation right now. Everything's changing, and at any moment things can change on a whim. So, I think if one thing, it's helping us in the profession stay a little bit more quick on our feet. And because you can't really get too comfortable right now with any routine because things are changing so much. And hopefully that kind of stays in place as we get back to a new normal where we can adapt and make quick changes. I've watched funeral homes that are customers of ours. You've seen the same thing, that have done things exactly the same way for 50 years and now are having to make split second decisions and realizing that, hey, we can pull the trigger and we can make changes and still operate without it just throwing everything for a loop. So hopefully that kind of sticks with us as we go forward.
I hear you. And I'm actually privy to and talk with some companies that were prepared to do launches and they're not going to stop. So, if we
Yeah,
think that the world's standing still because of this, especially in the funeral profession, you're wrong. There's some
that's right.
exciting things that are going on out here. And again, I go back to, why I think this broadcast is just don't survive. You've got to thrive.
That's right.
Now's not the time to back off. Now's the time to retool what you're doing with your overheads and cash flows and training for your firm. Now's not the time to back off on your marketing. It's time to step it up. It's time to hear your community hear from you online. Be the leader. You should be the authority in your community. And if you can't get outside, ride around, hand out pens, and be there for the pancake breakfast, what are you going to do now?
That's right. You got to bring the pancake breakfast to you, and you got a computer. So let's get to it.
That's it. Yeah, that interweb thing is now really starting to get important.
It just might stick around for a while.
So, from your perspective, there, with from a marketing standpoint, social media, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I mean, now is again not the time to play it safe. Now is the time to be engaging and be in the forefront. And in the funeral homes that are uh, looking for ways to continue to involve their community in content, continue to provide things that are outside of the box. It's interesting when we look at marketing, we think about, touting services and pre-need and things of that nature, when marketing is so much more, and just it's establishing a relationship. Like, we've got firms that are doing color contests right now where we've created images that are being downloaded and kids are coloring them while they're at home and then uploading them in the comments, and the funeral home's sending out things to families, and engaging the community in things other than death care, but under the umbrella of the funeral home. And so now's the time to really ramp up that engagement. And look, if you have been on an automated kind of grief and inspirational cycle of just automated content, you are completely missing out on the opportunity to be there for your community right now, because you've got content going out that isn't resonating with a single soul because it's not relevant for the time that we're in. And you've got to really be entrenched in the now and having those conversations. So firms that are doing that and getting creative in how they continue to serve the community, even if it's not through a gathering or a funeral, how are they engaging online and being present? And now's the time. 34%. The increase in Facebook usage in North America since March 11th has increased 34%. So
yeah, because everybody's home looking.
That's right. That's right. So it's an opportunity.
I hear you. And speaking of opportunity, the first quarter's over with now.
That's right.
Typically one of the best quarters in the funeral profession. So as funeral home owners and others who are managing, do an analysis of what you did that first quarter, and you may need to make some adjustments now, and not only pricing, but going forward operationally, exactly what you're going to do for your cash flow procedures. Because if this trend goes continually, that if it was a low first quarter, but typically is great, I don't foresee it getting any better as we go through the next two quarters, which are typically summer. Late spring and summer aren't very good in our profession.
That's right. Well, and you sent out a CDC chart that showed that big U in the death rate per week.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, that's a little scary. But you know what? It's all good news.
That's right.
We're blessed as a country. Um, I'm seeing very little where funeral professionals are getting sick. We are having some, and we pay homage to those folks that are out there on the front lines today and working with families, because it isn't necessarily the deceased that is the issue; it's the families that have been caring for them around. And God bless you all for the work that you're doing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers to you. Appreciate it. I see images circulating all over social about the frontline workers with doctors and hospital workers and surgeons, and they're out of the conversation as funeral directors, and they need to be included in that conversation because they're the last line of defense. But they can't turn away, just like a doctor can't turn away. So it's important.
I agree with you. Well, Ryan, I guess we can wrap this thing up a little bit, because again, the news hasn't significantly changed, but I foresee the next couple of weeks that we will have some things to announce about what's going on out here. We typically do big announcements at ICCFA convention time and then NFDA. And now it's like, what? That's out of the air. Let's do what we got to do right now.
That's right. Well, and we can't wrap up without our good friends at Plotbox, who are, right now, I've been watching their social, and they are doing some great things with the cemeteries that they're working with and getting them digitized. And in an environment like we're in right now, man, how valuable is a company like Plotbox, where they can help that cemetery get their online management and things mapped. So really, really good stuff from our friends at Plotbox.
I got you. Well, my friend, keep you and your family safe. It's a big religious weekend from lots of different angles, so whatever you believe. So we hope you have a happy whatever you celebrate.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Until next week, have a great effing week.
Out here.